Yeah, this is about how to make sure that we are investing less on testing, but more on improving productivity of the team in the context of unit tests and then in the context of main code. Yeah, I just run my company called Careersoft. I'm into code engineering or re-engineering to help products become world class from India. So this is where we use this tool very extensively, and then I thought I'll share some of our knowledge here. So maybe yeah, this is my yeah, maybe all of you are aware of this. Let's watch it. So we would have observed a lot of this, in our day-to-day releases, where we do a lot of hard work, in the main code, code reviews, and then writing unit tests, functional tests. But still, in the production, we see, a lot of, burning or fire in the production. Now, how do we handle this? Even after all this, if something is happening, there is always a scope for improvement. This is where yeah, we all need to look at how to raise up unit test quality. One of the biggest problem we see is there are unit tests but production fires are there, and one of the reason we saw was mostly most of the time what happens is there are a lot of fake tests. If you don't eliminate that, and if everybody thinks that they have very enough good unit tests and then go, you see like Mithun Chakravarti performing in production. So that way, yeah, one of the key learning what we have learned, doing code reviews, see that, yes, unit tests will definitely help, but if they're fake, they're of no use. In fact, they give a false confidence. So somehow we need to bend the technical debt. Otherwise, yes, we will have to face, a fire in the production time. So that way we have seen in the video also the kind of unit tests, it starts with unit testing, then it comes to integration, system testing, and then comes to acceptance testing. And that's where it's very close to production. So similarly, whatever process, most of the mature enterprises, they do see in a life cycle, even within a unit testing, where, somebody checks out the code, makes the changes, execute the unit tests, and fix defects. I mean, in case the unit tests fail, they are supposed to fix the defects some way, and then do the code review and then do the checking. So this is a very normal cycle any developer or into enterprise product delivery is familiar with. So that way, when we really see that yeah, unit test is not for compliance, it has to be seen as for a productivity. Rather than taking it as one of the norm somebody manager is asking or client is asking. So if we were to see unit tests on our own language, we should see unit tests as a first class citizens. It should be part of the language. It was a code from somebody, but yes, we all know as developers, we at a unit level when you write a test, you know that yeah, the content of this method or the functionality of this method is very clear to us by knowing what is the input and output we are expecting. And also more mainly important is you're constantly changing the code, and every time you change the code, we are not sure if it has an impact on other units. And if you have written for each unit proper unit test, then you can avoid lot of manual work and a lot of fear. And also that yeah, that's where you see regressions are also caught in the main code whenever it changes. And another important thing I see that yeah, when a QA gives you feedback, it is already 2 weeks, but unit test can give you instantly that feedback. Yeah, if not 100%, even it's 70 to 80%, you are able to catch. Hello. yeah, if you're able to catch, much earlier, then I think, it is a huge saving in time. That's why, you should never see unit tests as a compliance. It is a productivity game, developer productivity game. And it also helps in automation when you have CI/CD system. You can always check, the smoke test, and then, it improves that, confidence, go from QA to production. A lot of these things, they are automatically coming. And one more thing, we practically have seen that, without unit test, even to identify where the bug becomes a big challenge. Because, when you have lakhs of lines of code, million lines of code, any bug comes, it is, I've seen, most of the developers spend time at least to identify which class, which method is a real problem. But the same thing, if you have proper unit tests, it is very easy to identify, because if it is a regression, you run the unit test properly, it will show you which method and which class directly. So always, as I said, unit tests don't take it as an extra work or extra time. It actually saves you a lot of time. Being a professional, you can focus on functionality with more confidence. Right? Hello? Am I audible? Is everything clear?
Yes, Nagendra sir. It's just that the audio has a slight distortion for some reason. But otherwise, it's perfectly clear.
Okay. I got the mic near now.
Yeah, that's perfectly better. Thank you.
Sure. So now this way, see, we are worried, most of the people are aware of, a lot of code smells, in the main code. But similarly, there is a similar smells for unit testing, where, we can identify fake unit tests, where you may have empty unit tests. There is no code in it, but JUnit counts by method name as, test something, and people are happy that, have created thousands of unit tests. And the second one is, no asserts. So it is not about just having, unit test. The method, you can have some, code, but, without asserts, unit tests are useless. And what happens, there could be some bugs within the asserts itself, where you're not asserted for, it is supposed to be null, or, you would have said not null, or it is not supposed to be, greater than something, but, you have chosen it assert as given as, greater than something. And then sometimes, many times, you may also ignore with, keyword, because you don't want to, you want to skip that test. That's one area where you see unit test smells, or you can call them under the category called fake unit tests. And the tests are not enough. Sometimes, we are happy with 100% core coverage, but, maybe there is a branching coverage. There are so many things, which you have still missed. So then there is always a complexity. Yeah, like the main code has a complexity. People have not written, properly. Especially, what we observed is, too much of mocking. It's not a right mocking, and there is a flickering, which actually means, you run the unit test 2 times or 3 times, it gives different results, which is actually a bad unit test. There are, if there are ways like TestNG do support, some kind of dependencies, which is not a thing. But if you have too much of dependency, it's a bad smell. And one more thing is, yes, you have thousands of unit tests. If they're taking long time, they're as good as not having them. Because, developers will actually ignore, because it takes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I've seen somewhere 2 hours also. So that we know, see, we are already lost the game, in spite of the effort. It is supposed to give you feedback, instant feedback. You have to do something about how to reduce the time to run entire suit, or, you have to classify them into proper suit. Or, there are some magic numbers which they have assumed, and, that, I mean, this was able to, asserts are working with those magic numbers, which can be really painful to catch. So, but anyway, I think industry has, smells, what is there on the right side, assertion, conditional, constructor initialization, default test. But I try to simplify it by saying, 3 categories: fake unit tests are not enough, and there is a complexity. So coming to as I said, if we want to perform in the production, not like Mithun Chakravarti, the only, at least, whether somebody likes it or not, it is a unit test or the approach. Yes, if they're not performing, we have to blame the unit tests are not done right rather than saying that, unit tests don't work. Now, taking that context, how do we improve unit test quality? And that's where, coming into the context of Corona, we are all in the time of Corona where, we are afraid of, this insect or, this virus, which can actually help, kill anybody. Because it doesn't have medicine. So let's say, so that's where, some of these concepts of, how to improve unit tests have come. I mean, they go very well. What is? So there is one of the thing, even after vaccination, we are all afraid of what happens to mutations. We keep hearing, oh, virus is mutating. So what does that mean? So we already have a defense mechanism in the form of a vaccine. But however, virus is also changing its shape. And then we are afraid or, we are not sure whether the vaccine can handle mutated coronavirus. So what does it mean? Let's assume that, vaccine is effective. So what does that mean? When a new virus comes, which is mutated, vaccine is able to defend such a way that, virus is killed. So which means, for all the, if we take, vaccine is equivalent to unit tests and bugs are equivalent to virus. So when a mutation, when a new virus comes in, our vaccine is able to kill it, then we are successful. Similarly, when a new code comes in, variation of the code comes in, if the unit test is able to kill, which actually means, fail the unit test, then, it has succeeded. The unit tests are effective. Otherwise, it is not. So the same thing, we are applying the mutation in the unit test context, where what gets mutated is the main code. Unit test remains the same, vaccine remains the same. However, the main code, we change it slightly to make sure that, unit tests are able to kill the variation, or, they are being caught by unit tests that, yes, you're not allowed to come inside, or, this is not the way you should work. So this is the similarity very well, I think if you understand, if you're able to kill the mutants, unit tests are able to kill the mutant, they're performing better. Yeah, hello. Yeah, so basically, what are we talking about mutation in the context of in the context of unit test is, see, unit test is a safety net for what? A main code. And this is what happens. We have original program, we inject some faults in the main program, and then make sure that we run the original against the unit test. We also run the change the code against the unit test, and to make sure that we are the unit tests are able to catch or fail for appropriately. So this is what it means by mutation. So we slightly change the main code, and I will go detail on what kind of changes are obvious. But so far, people have understood the mutation in the context of software main code. Hello.
Yeah, Nagendra. Any questions from anyone regarding what mutation is?
No, we are good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very simple concept. I mean, I'm also surprised that it is not very popular so long. But yes, I think maybe this webinar should give you some insights and start using it. So now, yeah. So what are the obvious mutations? If you have a for loop, let's say it is less than 10, you say make it as greater than 10. Or wherever you see true as a condition, you make it as false. If you have some number, magic numbers, try to change those number into 7 to 10, or you convert. See, these mutations could be equivalent mutations, or they should have impact also. For example, if you are running a condition from 0 to 10, or yeah, you're coming from 10 to 0, then you can always say equal to 0, or less than or equal to 0. So yeah, maybe yes, you have to be a little careful when you say mutation. Yes, sometimes less than or equal to 0. I mean, still the test cases may still pass. They don't kill it because they are equivalent. So that way, yeah, there are some standards, yeah, with that, slight change, what happens, if you want to change the string, whatever you are passing the string, you append some, XYZ and send it and then see what happens. So maybe I can share you some example. Yeah, so this is where, you can see that, yeah, you can see it in the decisions and statements and value. In this case, you can always see, right? Either you say and A and B, or A or B, or when you have X greater than Y, you make it X less than Y. Or if you have you can have so many possible mutations, right? Yeah, if you are saying you say that age greater than or equal to 18, you can put it as greater than, less than, or false, true. So this is what is yeah, these are all slight mutations. Actually framework can do it, but if you are aware of that, how it is able to effectively kill, know the quality of unit tests, it's a great way to think about it. You can actually extend on your own. There are some frameworks where you can write, what kind of mutation you want. So in all, yeah, once we understood, the logic of vaccine, and in the context of corona, and then the context of mutation, in the context of main code changes. So some warning is that yeah, when unit tests are failing, you should never run mutations, because if it fails, we want to make sure that yeah, the mutation has passed. But then it is already failing, it is, yeah, you don't know whether it is because of the mutation or it's a previous failure. So always make sure that you run mutation test only when entire unit tests are passed. And there are also some problems, not that I mean, there could be some false positives. Again, this is also a technology which is evolving. Be careful that not all failures may not be really failure. Maybe you should report a bug in that. But yes, in one of the framework I have, yeah, defaults is something, is a conservative approach to test. If you go very aggressive, you may find some false positives. Also, now what happens, the time required for mutation testing can go up very drastically, because it is a framework doing it. Take the case of, if you have 300 Java classes and 10 test cases for each class, an average, even if it takes 0.2. So what it means, it will take around 3.2 hours to test all those. So be watchful. They are trying to reduce it. There are ways to configure. But yes, it is not that it will take so fast time. But yes, be aware of it. So now I'll take you to the code where yeah, we have just very simple. This is actually not my code. I've taken it from one of the GitHub author. That link is there. So where you have just a company and an employee, and company has a name, and employees have their salary and then their name. And yeah, company level you can raise the salary. So this is a very simple design of the classes. And then let me go through code. So all of you are able to see the code. Should I change the? Is the code visible to all?
If you can increase the font a bit more for everyone for using smaller screens.
Which is that Alt?
Can't remember the shortcut for magnification in IntelliJ.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely better.
So this is a company class, yeah, it takes, number of employees. It's a very simple class. Yeah, this is not my code, please, it's thanks to the author, where he has really simplified it very well. Then, we have an employee, yeah, where he has his name and salary, right? Now, we have also, simple, yeah, without unit test, let us see, what is that we can test. So we can create a company. We can rename a company once it is created. We can add employees, and we can add 4 employees first. We can add 2 employees later. And then we can actually know the current salary of one of the employee, and then raise it and see what is salary, right? So I'm just running that with the code coverage. See, one of the thing is, yeah, code coverage also is fooling, and this is a very clear indication where, once you get into where code coverage fails us, but, mutation testers helps us. So now, welcome to our company. Rename the company. Sorry. Yeah, I'm supposed to run this. See, we gave the company name, but, yeah, it is saying no name. And we rename the company to a new thing. Then also it says no name. And then, there are 7 employees at a company. We added 2 more people, and still number of employees are 7. And then, we have a salary of Bob without increasing as, 1.2 lakhs. Then, after increase, it is 12,000. So it is meaningless. But however, let us see from the code coverage of this kind of, testing, you see that, most of it is covered. Company class level, it is covered. Method level, it has failed, 87%. You can see which is that, this method is not covered.
Nagendra sir, we're not able to hear you.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so what happens, yeah, this method is not covered in the, a main code approach. Yeah, just, they wrote a main method with, trying to call all that. It is actually not unit testing. And then you have something, we can also have a test case, proper test cases using JUnit. So this is actually a proper test case. Company test, where you are creating a new company with this name. Yeah, then, we have, I mean, there's a test case for everything, including, the raising of the salary. Then let's run the same thing, with code coverage, and then see, we are able to achieve 100%. So all the tests passed, and code coverage also says 100%, both at, class level and method level. So where you can see, company is also now covered, including employee with net salary.
Nagendra sir, are you there? Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, looks
Yeah.
like Nagendra
I
is
think
having a
Nagendra
connectivity
got
problem.
disconnected. Yeah.
Just give it a few minutes.
Hi, Souvik. So Anudeep here. So I just had it out, like, when we write unit test cases, right? So, and, when we run the Sonar Cube, it says like, assertions can be maximum of 25. So if we had to overcome that, like, do we have to duplicate the test methods, or like, is there any way to overcome? I mean, if anybody in this group have any idea, can you share anything?
You don't need to duplicate the unit test, just create two private methods and there you put it your assertions. That's when we do tricks on us.
Okay, thank you, Sunil.
Sanjay would like to elaborate how the private method thing works, if you don't mind.
Yeah, because Sonar Cube only checks whether the assertions that you have, is it in a single method or not. And the guideline about 25 assertions is that if you add way too much assertions, then that test essentially loses the significance of asserting. Like it would be very difficult to understand what all assertions are there. So that's why the guideline is write a method which explains what exactly you're asserting, and over there do your assertions inside that particular method. And then you can reuse that method in multiple test cases as well.
Okay, so basically kind of an assertion template you're saying.
Yeah. Also, another question was regarding identifying fake tests, right? So it's impossible for any tool to do that for you, because you can simply do an empty assertion as well, like assert 1 equals to 1, right? So Sonar won't help you in that.
Any thoughts or any experience with either say mutation testing or with respect to approaches to better unit testing, which anyone has used here?
From my experience, like if you want proper unit test, everyone in your team should properly invest time and write some quality unit test. If only a single person does it, then it's not going to happen. Plus, I've seen there are test cases written which only covers the code coverage, but they are not exactly meaningful. And as Nagendra sir was explaining, right, code mutation. When something changes, that test still passes. So even if it should fail, then that's a problem. So it's as good as not having unit test. It's actually bad than not having a unit test.
Hello.
Yes, Nagendra sir, we are able to hear you.
Sorry, I think there's a lot of heavy rain here. Some glitches with the internet. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me see, there are bugs, clear bugs, but code coverage actually showed us that it is 100% covered. Now this is where we can actually catch all these where code coverage and unit test cannot catch. We can definitely catch these issues in the mutation tests, and that is what is this. So this is a mutation test framework. I've used a PI test, PIT test. So where it will definitely show us that something is wrong. So it is trying to change the main code and injecting some changes and making sure that there are some failures. So you can clearly say that there are failures when it comes to mutation testing. Yeah, it is actually pointing you to what are those tests it has done. So Boolean false, Boolean true. These are the some of the mutations it has tried, and then it is seeing that unit tests have survived, which actually means it has not no unit test has failed. So if a unit test fails, it is a success scenario. If none of the unit test fails, scenario, which is actually an error. So this is a very clear way of, going deeper and then making sure that, the fake unit tests are caught with the mutation testing. So let us see, so if you can go back to, there is a fix for all this. The same thing, we would have fixed within the fix classes. Company fixed. Where, this was one of the things, they were actually assigning name to name. If you really see it, see, there is a hard-coded number here, number of employees, which is wrong. And yes, when you say set name, it's actually, not assigned with the parameter passed. These are some of the bugs which are caught, and then, once you observe that issues from, mutation testing results, then, you go back and then do the fix. And yeah, the same thing, we can run it as a mutation test and see, if all the tests pass. So here you have 100% success. So basically, we have seen, how mutation and a framework, a good mutation can actually oversee unit test quality and make sure that, somebody is not faking or, intentionally or unintentionally. Let's go back to, so this is what the code walkthrough what we had, where we have seen company and employee classes. Company runner is the one which is a main method. Company test, unit test for company. And so we were able to see the report, generated report. Same thing we have run for fix, where, you have a similar test for, from the main method, test case method, and then, you run the fix using PI test. You have seen that, that the unit tests, fake unit tests are caught, and, good unit tests really pass. So yeah, few things, people may be really, concerned or, at this stage be aware of is, code coverage and mutation. Basically code coverage cannot catch, a lot of issues which are associated with, authenticity of unit tests. While, there's a lot of, for example, they were saying, if you have a sandwich covered with, paste, unit test may say that, it is covered with paste, but, you may have to really check it with, whether it is a chocolate paste. So that way, the mutation test can actually go deeper and then classify, what is the kind of coverage. That's the beauty of, mutation test. So don't be fooled by code coverage anymore. Try to be over that, try to bring in mutation. And another thing is, regressions versus mutation. See, regressions come, you make code change to the code, and then unit tests are not changed. And then, those can actually be caught with a proper unit test. But in mutation testing, you are actually, programmatically changing, inducing the bugs. In regressions, you really change the code for maybe building a new functionality, bringing in, a new version of the software. And that's the time unit test catch. So yeah, be clear about unit testing and, in the context of unit testing, regressions and mutation, and code coverage and mutation. So mutations are intended and they are programmatic, and regressions are unintended. So some of the references, yes, there are mutation framework is very famous, at least, it is still evolving. It is there from more than 10 years. One of the latest one in Java is Pit. All the links are given here. Jumble, it's little old, SourceForge one. And I want to really thank this author of this, so he is the author, he is the owner of this code. We have actually taken his code base and then done a refactoring and then try to really simplify it. But, all the code is, this author. credits to him. And if you take even C sharp also, there are there where you see an visual mutator, JavaScript, PHP, take anything. There are frameworks which are really available. So you must make a best use of it. So yeah, maintain a discipline. Do not cut corners, else you end up with a code. That is the usual quality. Usual quality, generally very famous in IT services. It is done, but after done there are 100 iterations. So yeah, basically the code is correct as per managed process of done. It does a lot of job safety, but in reality code is professionally intolerable mess. So be aware of it. It is unit tests are not for compliance. It is the way developer develops proper code. So this is what I had to say. Better the code each day. Basically, one of the excitement in software development is, in production, there are no production fires. It just works. That's a great way to, see software culture evolve for products to succeed. And when it comes to developers, they would love, unit tests and, mutation tests keep failing because, they feel the sense of achieving something, after something is broken. And as usual, for a QA team, if a developer accepts something as a bug, what he has filed, it's a celebration for them. Yes, all of these have to be there in a certain way. But if you are really focused on world-class product, make sure that you are clear on what is your role on how to write a best code possible. That's all. Yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Nagendra sir. So Nagendra sir, you mentioned about the PyTest.org as a framework, right? And you were showing the difference in the behavior. And so these are some of the other frameworks which are available.
Yes. On each language, you have multiple. Some of them which I could search, I could give it. But you can search more. You may get alternatives to each of that.
Hello? And the version which is there under your, it's a fork of that PyTest.
PyTest is a framework. The example is actually fork. I think there are two different repositories here. This is actually PyTest. So this is actually mutation framework. So which is actually, you can actually get this from a binary using Maven. See this? This is coming from Maven. Hello?
Go ahead, Nagendra sir.
So this is actually, PyTest, I have not done anything. We have taken it from Maven repository. But this code, the example over which, it is showing, demoing, what it, in a real case application and over which you are applying. And that code is coming from our friend, and I did not even remember the name.
Sir, is that library? Okay, MIT license. Okay. I just want to check the license.
These are all open source only. Hello. So this is an example which you have taken. We have renamed it, to make it, more readable. That's our way of.
any experience, Nagendra sir, with any other frameworks as to what you found, like Jester or Javalanche? Any opinions?
So yeah, for Java, we found Pit very active, and then they're evolving very rapidly. They're actually whenever we file bug, we also find some bugs actually. I told you about see, we saw here 100% test case, test running, right? But here also, if you go very aggressive and say number of mutators as all, actually, yeah, it is a false positive. It shows some test cases have failed. So you see that test cases have failed, but actually it is a false positive. Actually, we filed a bug against it. See, what they are doing is something called A++. They're trying to change. Okay, I think you should see this. These are some good URLs. So this is a very nice one where you see number of mutators. Yeah, so this is where you see a lot of whatever they support. So for example, less and less than or equal to, greater than, and then they have named every of those mutant with a name. You can actually, in this framework, you say, if you don't want all the mutants to be like, one of the way to selectively reduce the time is, be more specific on, what mutants to apply. So if there is a plus, it will make it into minus, minus into plus, multiplication, whatever, This is a very good, that way it gives you a lot of insights and a lot of good documentation. And then in C# also, we have used a visual mutator, which is good. JavaScript, yeah, I think, this is really good. Everybody should start trying, node applications with this. Yeah, I think one more slide where people have when PHP Hamburg infection PHP C#.
Anybody would like to share their experiences with mutation if they have had any prior ones, or any questions for that matter?
So is the concept made clear?
Yes, at least it was clear to me, Nagendra sir, that basically you are testing the edge cases of your code using a framework instead of trying to write edge cases, edge test cases for themselves, which is both improving the developer productivity as well as making sure that the edge scenarios are tested in the unit test itself rather than spilling it over to the system or integration test cycle.
One difference here, yeah. So it is actually not, trying to create edge cases. Actually, it is whatever the cases are there, it is injecting bugs in the main code. So in the existing main code.
Yeah,
Hello?
go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead. We are listening.
So maybe instead of discovering new unit tests, what it is doing, it is taking your main code, manipulating the main code for known, how to create bugs in the main code. So
okay, I get your point. What you're saying is that instead of writing more edge test cases, manipulate your main code so that the edge test cases are simulated with your existing set.
Exactly. Unit tests start failing. Because I have manipulated my main code, unit tests have to fail.
Yes,
I wrote unit to comply to some logic of main code, and I'm spoiling that main code logic. Then now unit tests have to fail.
What is the kind of benefits which enterprises have seen when they have tried to take this approach? Because initially there will be some investment of both developer effort as well as testing effort for this, right? But over time, what's the kind of differences? Any observations around that? Nagendra sir?
Sure. Yeah, so basically, yeah, see, the cost of bugs is very high, right? When in production. And then, there is an illusion that, unit tests are actually, good enough for me with the code coverage. So against these two, what is happening is, yeah, the mutation test is making sure that, yeah, if code coverage is 100%, my people have, my QA has certified that there are no bugs, and over which, this is an automated test. So it is actually not, taking anything more than a conventional, a good process for writing good products. Right? In an enterprises, they want good products which are safer and which are of value to customers. But however, they still see a lot of challenges, and that is where this framework's coming. Where, yeah, see, always, unit tests are meant for, testing the main code. So now this approach is breaking it. Let us change the main code and see whether unit tests are, yeah, they consider unit tests as, if we consider unit tests as a main code, and then main code as unit tests, then what happens is any change to main code, unit tests have to fail. So did I answer it, Savik?
Yeah, definitely, Nagendra sir. I think makes sense now. Any questions from anyone else? There was one question, Nagendra sir, around whether apart. I think somebody had asked, yeah, how to identify fake or dummy unit tests, and there was a suggestion around SonarQube. But any other ideas on, how do we identify any existing fake or dummy unit tests? Any ways, apart from obviously mutation, which is obviously the easiest, change your code, I tell you how many fake unit tests you have.
So one of the things before we knew this, we were really counting on asserts, frankly speaking. Unfortunately, JUnit, which is very popular, it only gives you number of test cases just based on the method name. But what you should really count, understand, the real effectiveness of unit tests is how many asserts. And in the code review, you have to see whether the asserts are done right. Even if you ignore rest of them, make sure that asserts are done right. To that extent, we have to do manual effort to code review. And yes, definitely, even see whatever some of these bugs, actually can come even from static analysis also. If you really see, IntelliJ is reporting these are all issues in the code. Even without mutation, if somebody is careful, yes, some of these can be really caught with even a SonarQube static code analysis. You see this, it is never used.
Yeah, no, obviously some of the static analysis capabilities built into a lot of the IDs and other static code analysis tools.
Yeah, here also it is saying that yeah, this is assigned but never used. So yeah, some of them yeah, there's overlap, lot of overlap, but in a case of very large enterprise products, you cannot say that yeah, one will take care of the rest. No, it is a combination of all these will actually make it powerful. Even if one fails, other fellow will catch. Yes, static code analysis is one approach. Yeah, trying to see asserts more rigorously is another approach. Mutation, yeah, bring in the mutation approach, various combinations.
Thank you, Nagendra sir, for this wonderful session. Anyone has any questions from what we have discussed?
Yeah, I'm doubting my communication, whether people have understood this or not.
I at least found the session quite informative and unique, Nagendra sir, because it's not something a lot of people think of as an approach to validate their existing unit test. Because I think I see a benefit even for an existing code. If you plug in this mutation testing approach, it can tell you a lot about what are the code smells which are already existing in your code, and you can look at refactoring or enhancing them.
True, you're right. Yeah, it actually works with legacy very well.
Okay, Looks like we don't have many questions, Nagendra, because I think the session was quite informative and it was very, the examples I think helped understand it a bit better. So if there's nothing, yeah, go ahead.
I'm very sorry for internet latency. Yes, it's out of my
No,
control.
that happens. That happens, Nagendra, not a problem. I think it's just a 5-minute interruption, so not a problem. So yeah, I think we don't at the moment have anything else, and probably we can stop the recording for now.